Life makes no sense. You're on a planet right now. You're on a space rock floating in nothingness, infinite nothingness, and the infinite nothingness is expanding. That means endlessness is getting bigger. That makes no sense.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Consistently Inconsistent right here on JG's Lounge. And as always, it's pretty inconsistent. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We got a hell of a show. Evolution, man. It's always a pleasure having you on. I feel like we're a great duo, and it's always exciting to do shows with you, man. How you doing?
Hey, man, thank you for all that, and I appreciate it, and back at you. I'm doing really good, man. Today was an interesting day. I'm just glad to get it out the way, and it's good to end it with something like this. It's a really quick turnaround for me because I got a show early in the morning as well.
Right.
But I love this stuff, man. I only got the show set up yet. So I'll be working after we get done working here. So
right. 4 hours of sleep and back at it.
Boom. The grind continues always.
That's how we do it, man. Talk about grinding, man. Our numbers are doing good. The platforms are doing good. Facebook and Rumble seem to be hitting it off really well for us. So thank you guys on all those platforms. Of course, you guys that listen in, we appreciate you too. You know, if it wasn't for the live interaction that we get, I think a lot of our stuff would be pre-recorded, but I love giving you guys the option to be a part of the shows. So for those of you that do, you know, it's always a pleasure to have you guys involved in what we do. And as we move forward and expand our reach and into other, you know, I don't know, aspects of podcasting, you know, we appreciate having you guys on board. So thank you for that. Evolution's got a show. What do you got going on with about that? You're going to be doing a one day, just all day show.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a marathon, about 10 shows back to back. I'm gearing up for that now. I wanted to do it sooner, but with the time constraints and everything else that's going on, I had to push it back.
Right.
But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. I'm also still in the process of filming The Journey 2, right, which will be getting completed and is shot towards the end of the year and the beginning of next year. So that'll be coming around sooner than later, right?
Right.
But, the grind continues, man. I'm looking forward to completing all these projects so I can start a lot more new ones.
That's one good thing about what we do, man. We come up with ideas and we have control over when we do it. So like we can crank out episodes and while we're building up for that, and that's the best part of it, man. You really don't have to have a deadline. And when we are officially like we're doing it, it will be promoted on all the platforms so everybody's up to date.
Absolutely.
With that being said, man, let's get into the next episode of Consistently Inconsistent.
Hey, man, let's do it.
All right. I think you're up first. Yeah,
I'm up first this time. And what I have here is by the skin of your teeth. That's like barely making it through wherever you're trying to make it through at the very last second or very last minute. This is an old school term, man.
For sure.
and when I first heard it, I'm looking at my teeth. I'm like, well, there's no skin on my teeth. So how in the world did this, come about, and what really does it mean? As a kid, you look at things and view things so much differently. And it's very creative in how kids look at things. And then when you get older, you look at things from a different perspective. So I guess the understanding of a child versus the understanding of an adult really, it's like opposite ends of the spectrum. But we could probably learn a lot from kids like they learn a lot from us, right?
Right.
But by the skin of your teeth, that's just pushing it to the very last mark. I actually experienced that myself here recently, I had a test to take to recertify my life insurance certificate, license or whatever. And man, it wasn't supposed to take that long,
Right.
but it took that long.
Right.
I passed it by the skin of my teeth for sure. Which, you got anything on that, bro?
Yeah. So while you were talking, I looked up the history of it. So in the King James Bible, Job 19:20 says, "I am escaped with the skin of my teeth," which was presumably meaning he got away with nothing at all. Which is different than how I would have expected it to be honest.
Yeah.
The whole getting away, I think the aspect that catches me off guard is the getting away with nothing at all. But I do think that it plays a lot into like the procrastination, procrastinating to last minute, pushing the envelope, which is another one.
Right.
But I think there's a point where people should push their boundaries, and I think this is basically kind of like what it's saying is by the skin of your teeth. Like, is it determining if it's worth it or not, and the outcome? Like, is the outcome worth it? So, there's so many different ways that you could view the term itself. I feel like because
I agree.
You got like procrastination, which is like you wait to the last minute to do something, which I think falls in line with it. But then like to risk it all, is it worth it? Is also kind of another way to view it. And there's a lot of depth to either way you look at it. I think that the term itself is intimidating, but very to the point and is necessary in certain situations. Like maybe your teenage kid did something that got them in trouble, and like you as a parent are trying to assist them, but there's only so much you could do, and like it's up to them to prove that they were doing the right or whatever the situation is. I think that's kind of by the skin of your teeth is referencing like, yeah, you barely made it, man. You did it, but you did it. Like it wasn't us, it was you. So there's a little bit of praise behind it as well. I mean, what do you think so far?
As you were talking, I was actually thinking about sports, and when I was playing like basketball in my younger days, how I would purposely enter in games late because I had that much confidence in my game. And I even tell the people, I was like, I don't care what you got, I'm gonna come back and win, And a lot of those times I did come back and win, but it was definitely by the skin of my teeth.
Right.
But that's just me. I'm competitive like that. And it makes the game that much better.
Yeah.
It intensifies the effort, and it makes the opposing, people bring their game and play a lot more harder. And then in the end, if I do come back and win after I told them, the reward is just awesome. I get bragging rights and everything else, right?
Right.
I get the respect. But yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as you were talking.
Yeah. I think how you said intensity, and I said it's a very intimidating. Like there's a lot of force behind that phrase.
Absolutely.
And I do think that it can be used for multiple situations. All kind of catered towards that, either procrastinating or pushing yourself to the limit. Obviously with the sports, more pushing yourself to the limits, and kind of that almost adrenaline rush that you get from succeeding, especially in sports. You hear a lot of athletes that talk about like those moments where it's like, man, I was down to the last second, but you can hear it in their voice. Like, so that phrase has a lot of weight behind it, a lot of force. And I think it's a great start for this episode. So,
nice. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I think you're up next.
Right on, man. My first one is blood is thicker than water, man.
Ooh.
It's another one that's got a lot of weight behind it. And it goes as far back as the 12th century German, talking about it was referenced as kin blood is not spoiled by water. Basically, your family's your family, whether you like it or not, which is true. I mean, but I think that nowadays that meaning is a bit different. I mean, I think it's more of like who you can trust and having them closest to you and kind of having that respect for each other, and that's just sort of like the original meaning behind it. But even today I feel like it's used in like war and battle too, going after blood. But when I think of it, I think more along the lines of who you can trust and who you can't trust, like and relying on them to help, to be by you. Like, don't have anybody in your circle or in your bubble that's only going to put you down. You only need people that are going to pick you up and push you, and that's that blood that's thicker than the water, kind of aspect. I only say that in my sense because it wasn't, I pushed my family away because I needed to. You could say they pushed me away, honestly, but depends on how you want to look at it. And it bettered me because of it. So that's why I think that there's more about the term than just like that physical blood relation. What do you think?
Well, what I think is that statement or the saying, blood is thicker than water. You go back a couple of decades or whatever, I would say that saying was more truer around that time when you could rely on your family or your kinfolk or your immediate bloodline or whatever to be connected or tight with you or have your back or just stick together in times of need or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But over the past recent years, I would say that statement is not so true anymore because when you look at it the way I'm talking about it, heck, you can have a perfect stranger treat you better than some of your own family will, right?
It's true, yeah.
So we used to say that a lot when we was younger, and with the relation of our family is always going to be there for us no matter what, through thick and thin. And it was related to like that. But nowadays it's not so true anymore because of how everybody has revolved. People don't really care like they used to. They don't really have your back like you used to. Heck, you got certain members of the Jacksons family, selling the whole family out for tabloids so they can get a little money in their pocket, right? Stuff like that goes on. Of course, things happened back in the day, but today it's more often than not, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of what I get when I think about blood is thicker than water. And, kind of just to highlight what you're talking about, I think that it all lines up in the same direction. What do you think?
Yeah, and I agree. It almost kind of seems like blood is thicker than water today is more like out for blood kind of a phrase.
Yeah.
More so than anything. I think that we both agree on that. And it's sad that that's how it is, but there's just so much. I don't know, the way that the world has gone from, like you said, several decades, and the way things have changed so dramatically is insane to me. But I think that the advancement of like technology over the last couple of decades has been so dramatic and so quick and out of control in a sense that it's changed everybody's perceptions on anything. I think the values of like originality are out the window on a lot of things.
Yeah. People are not so original anymore. When you hear of all the samples in music and really all the remakes of the movies, right? So you got so many movies that are being remade because of lack of creativity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like you're making new movies off of old classics that aren't even as good as the old classics, but because of how they're being presented with all this technology and new graphics and stuff, you actually make more money today than they did, in the lifetime of the old classics, depending on what actors or actresses are in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of how bad the movie sucks.
Right, dude. No joke. And that's another thing. You mentioned music, you mentioned movies.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I've noticed about music, if you go to YouTube and you
Mm-hmm.
look up a music video that was shot in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and if it was a real popular one, it's probably got like 20, 30 million views. If it's a real popular one that people know and listen to. Nowadays, some of the most garbage music is tripling and even quadrupling that number in less than a day. Some of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. It's insane, man. Some of the things that are occurring today, but it's all about timing and marketing and whoever and whatever you connected to, right? So,
Right. All right, where we at next, man?
oh, my turn again.
It is. It's your turn. Yeah.
I got beat around the bush.
Let's get to the point here. I'm just kidding.
All right. So that can be looked at in multiple different ways, but the avenue I'm gonna take is like you said, you just I think about a little kid that's in trouble, and the parent caught the kid, but the kid's still trying to deny it. So were you in the cookie jar? Well, I was in my room. No, I'm not talking about earlier, right? I'm talking about a few minutes ago. Well, a few minutes ago I was outside. No, let's bring it closer.
Right.
I went to the restroom. All right, so now you're getting warmer. Now you get warmer.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Definitely beating around the bushes. Not getting straight to the point, like you said. It's not telling the actual factual point blank truth. It's lining your response with a bunch of I like to use this word hooty doo.
Hooty doo. Hooty doo.
You're lining your responses with hooty doo, right?
All right.
So it's not giving any what do you call it? Any pertinent information.
There's no credibility.
Yeah, right. So you're just giving a bunch of crap. Or we'll say hooty doo again.
Hooty doo.
Instead of getting straight to the point.
Right.
What do you got, man?
That's good. That's actually, that makes me think of something like, okay, when you talk to your kids about something and they don't necessarily lie about it, but they kind of avoid answering it. That's also kind of that beat. That's what I think of when I think of beating around the bush. I think you and I being parents, there's a lot of weight behind that because we experience it so much. I mean, I know I did it when I was a kid, and I get that kids do it. It's just that's never going to change.
Man.
I think adults do it too, but I think that's more getting along that procrastinating line and biting the or the skin of your teeth. I think there's more of an adult term for this. I think being around the bush seems to be more of like a child-based thing. I do think we see it in adults, but when I think of it more of like from a parent looking at a kid. Exactly, like all that hooty doo.
Exactly, man. So I got an example I want to use because I can't stop thinking about this. Even when it happened, I knew it was happening, and I couldn't believe it. I was so irritated with my sons when they did it, but I had to laugh after I went to my room because they actually had this each other's back. But this is what happened, man. Something came up broken in the house, right? And it's just me and my sons at this time. So I come home, from work, tired, grumpy. Okay, so Who broke it? My son on the left. Wasn't me. I didn't do it. I look at the son on the right. Well, wasn't me. I didn't do it either. So,
but they didn't rat on each other.
Right. So I'm like, seriously, is this what we're doing?
Mhm.
So, you know, I was so ticked off about it, but I couldn't do anything, right?
Right.
Because they actually had each other's back. But
Mhm.
I laughed about it later, but at the time I was smoking.
That's funny. It actually reminds me of so my oldest kid, we leave him home alone sometimes, you know, when we go out. We always take the younger one, but there'll be snacks that, you know, 6, 7, 8 of them are gone, and everybody else is like, I know for a fact that the other 3 didn't have them. And what'd you do? And the oldest is like, I only had one. Yeah, okay, you only had one. Literally nobody else in this house had any. I don't know what happened. I promise I only had one. Maybe I had 2. But that's exactly what I think about when you
That's funny. That is funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you've been caught and you're still trying so hard.
Yeah. to avoid whatever the punishment might be, right?
Right. It's definitely a lesson to be learned. And I think everybody goes through it. I really do. I mean, again, I feel like once you get into more of like priorities and taking care of a family and the adult aspect of it changes the term. But I definitely think that the term has meaning for the youth and something that you can kind of tell them, hey, you know, you're beating around the bush. Just tell me what happened. Just why are you just not? Just admit it. Just, you know, just tell me.
Right.
And I again, every week I have that conversation at some point with one of the kids. I promise.
They're trying to avoid the punishment.
I guess my next one kind of falls along the lines of that. It's let bygones be bygones. This is a term that's not, I don't think it's used very often anymore. But I think a good portion of the world still, or at least, you know, in our world, know what the term is and kind of the background behind it. It is a 15th century word, basically meaning to don't dwell on the past and to forgive and forget. I think that was more easier to do or pursue that kind of aspect of it back in the day rather than now. I think it's too much of a knife fight in the world today, if that makes sense. Like, I think that everybody's kind of at each other's throat for the next best thing.
Right.
So I think that phrase is kind of out the window in the sense that people overlook it because they're just too, like, I don't know, absent-minded to other people. Nobody cares about others. They just want to, you know, do what they do, and they don't care about the outcome of it. They don't, you know, it's, and I'm not saying everybody, but there's a good portion of the world out there today that's like that. You know, like, you cut off on the road and you're driving, you know, I like to tell my wife all the time, I'm a great driver. It's the other people I don't trust. I think that kind of keeps your guard up. And I think just to forgive and forget and move on from something is much easier said than done nowadays, because there's just too much stuff that people do that cause anxiety.
Right.
There's
that's funny.
What you got?
True though. You know, I'm looking at how the statement is worded. Let bygones be bygones. So you're saying bye, and it's gone behind you.
Right.
To me, it sounds like a person who's probably guilty or has the biggest role of guilt in a situation is the one saying, you know what, let's just let bygones be bygones.
Because they know
Yeah. So, but if the tables were turned, that person would be saying that. They'd be like, you know what I mean? So when I think about that term, though, outside of that, it's definitely an old term, and I can see. I'm thinking about the westerns, right? Oh, the old westerns where everybody's wearing boots and spurs and you know, wrestling cattle and all that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that's when this term was like big.
Yes, I agree.
So people are dealing with things and getting into it or whatever, and instead of taking 12 paces and turning firing at
Yeah.
high noon, it's like, you know what, let's just let bygones be bygones.
Right.
Uh,
Why dirty our boots? Let's just go have a shot.
Yeah, right. I live on the outskirts of the town, and you're traveling through from another city. Let's just let bygones be bygones. You go your direction, and I'll go mine. That's kind of what I'm getting out of that.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's probably the best way to kind of go with that. Definitely kind of an older thought. Like if I was to go to somebody today and said, let's just let bygones be bygones, I would think of a black and white Western film right off the bat.
Yeah.
But again, I think so. The meaning behind the term is to let the past be, forgive and forget, and move on. Which I think it does have multiple meanings to it. I just think that it's another one that I think we're hitting a few on this episode where it's like the past has kind of absorbed those, and they don't have as much power behind them than they did maybe 2-3 decades ago.
Unless it rolls around again, you know what I mean? You know how what is it, about every 20 years things kind of come back around?
I heard it's 20 to 30 years. Like I know early 90s, late 80s kind of clothing is kind of starting to come back too. It's starting to make an appearance again. So yeah, you never know. It could.
Hey, I seen a pretty sweet afro the other day. I'm not sure if it was a Halloween costume or if it was an actual afro. It was really hard to tell the difference, but that sucker was huge.
You don't see that very often.
No, had me thinking about the 70s.
Yeah, dude. I've noticed like some of those higher waisted pants for girls is kind of coming back. Fanny packs, I'm seeing them again. I haven't seen any Velcroed Filas. Please don't bring those back. I'm good on the Velcro Filas, everybody. But yeah, no, I do think I agree. About every 20 to 30 years, I think things kind of make their way back around.
I tell you what, if butterfly collars and bell bottoms come back in, I'm a pass.
I've lived that life. I'm good.
Hard pass. Oh man,
I can see it happening though, man. I wouldn't be surprised by anything nowadays.
Yeah, right. It's just so much is way different than what we thought it would be. Just literally 5 years ago. Things have changed so much in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Let alone 10, 15, or 25.
Well, and like you mentioned with kind of movie remakes, like we talked about earlier in the episode, they're starting to hit some older films and remaking them. Some of the older stuff that a lot of the youth probably never heard of. But then it's the one good thing I could say about that is it stirs up the originals. So like they start getting some views. People go watch them so they can compare them to the new ones. Which, I watched something that scared me when I was, a teenager in high school from like a film from the 70s or 80s that I still liked. Nowadays, it's almost comical compared to like where we are with technology today. So like watching something that old it's not as scary now.
Right. Yeah. But then you had you shaking in your boots.
Yeah, exactly. Am I up next or are you? Oh, Bygone, speaking about that was me.
Yeah, it's me. It's my last one already. The last one I have here is Bite the Bullet. Man, that one is like it's so direct,
Yes.
It's like you're point blank in the middle of something, and either you do or you don't, or what I'm trying to say here. Either you do or you don't, or you act, or you just. I mean, that's the same thing.
Yeah, I think
I'm trying. Is there something? There's a term I'm looking for. I can't grab it right now.
Yeah,
but
I can't think of it.
But
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's just you're biting the bullet. It's like there's nothing else left to do, or you're taking a huge risk, and time is of essence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you either gotta act now or forever hold your peace type of stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're
Right.
biting a bullet. Just like either you take this chance or you lose everything, right? So
Exactly.
what do you got?
I agree. I think that it's a spur of the moment situation. You have to make a decision. You're either going to succeed or you're not.
Mhm.
But it's kind of one of those fear either ways kind of scenario where I don't know. Let's say you're driving down the street going 50 miles an hour, and
Mhm.
a deer, which we know happens,
Mhm.
decides to just waltz out into the middle of the street, and you have two options. You can swerve and almost guaranteed go into the ditch and not know what's going to happen,
Mhm.
or you can just accept that you're going to hit the deer and brace yourself.
Right.
Both scenarios that are very like direct and like there's going to be consequence either way.
Mhm.
What are you? That's that bite the bullet moment that I think of when
Yeah.
you mention that.
Yeah. And what I was thinking about was something totally different. I don't know how in the world I had to start as you were talking about slaughtering deer and creating roadkill. Uh,
You
but
got a bit more aggressive than I did with the term there.
but I was actually thinking about biting a bullet when it comes to like you meet someone and they're like you think they're really nice looking,
Mhm,
and you're like, should I let this moment pass,
mhm,
uh, or should I bite the bullet and say something
mhm.
and let them know that I exist, and you know see where this goes, right?
Right.
You have that risk of them just chopping you down and saying, I know, no, yeah, no.
Right.
Or they could be like, well, hey, yeah, here's my
Yeah.
number. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about when it comes to biting a bullet. I bit the bullet with the person that I'm now married to. So,
Right. Hell yeah, man. Well, and that's another thing I'm thinking of. Like, um, you're scheduled to go to work and it's the day of, and your friend goes, "Hey, man, I don't know if you know this, but this band's in town, and I know you really
mhm,
like him." And
mhm,
you're like, "That's like my favorite band. Like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity."
mhm.
But you know what? I've called in a few times this month already. Is it worth? Where we go? Like, do I deal with the consequence of me calling in and go to this concert that I know I'm gonna enjoy,
Mhm.
or do I go to work and maybe try to get off early? Yeah, but like
Mm,
that's another kind of bite the bullet because it's
yeah,
like you know that the outcome, if you do some either way, is going to have some sort of a negative impact. You went to work
right,
and you
right.
missed out on this opportunity, or you went
Mhm.
to that and you potentially lost your job or
Yeah,
got
right.
some sort of suspension or whatever.
Mhm.
But I definitely
So,
think it's a your choice kind of thing. It's always a your choice.
yeah, true. But even when those moments occur, it's either a great thing that's going to happen
Uh-huh.
or a terrible, awful thing that's going to happen. And you just have to bite the bullet
Hmm.
to find out if it's a dud bullet or if it's an actual bullet that's going to blow up in your face, right?
I can say, okay, so do you have a bite the bullet? And I'll go first. Do you have a bite the bullet moment that you could use?
Ooh, yeah, go first so I can
Okay.
sift through the
It's
pile of stuff.
it's 2000 it's 2011.
Mhm,
I live in a college town. I have a job and I'm making decent money. And my roommate goes, "Hey, I know a guy in Colorado Springs that's um, willing to, if we wanted to go out there, move out there, we could. And we both work at this place. We could transfer out there. We wouldn't even lose our jobs. We just transfer out to that store." So we did. We upped and moved to Colorado Springs within like a month. And it was a good experience. It was great. But the people that I moved in with, which were nice people, were very, I don't know. They lacked priorities. Like they didn't, like they barely worked. When they did work, they were usually high or drunk. Again, I just went on a whim and did it. And that's fine. I'm not about that life, but whatever. And it got to a point where I was like, I'm having to pay your guys' portion of the rent just to make sure I have a roof over my head. This ain't worth it, you know? And I had to make the decision of moving out on my own there or coming back here, you know? And I chose here because I just had more people here, more family. But it was like one of those things where I really liked where I was living. Like it was a beautiful. I mean, I'd today move back there if I could. But at that time, it was like I had to make the decision of like, okay, I'm here. Do I want to stay here, or do I want to go back? You know?
Yeah. Wow.
What's happening, Diggs? Thanks for popping in.
Bite the bullet moment. I actually have a bite the bullet moment that's kind of really almost identical to yours, but it's reversed. It was a place that I hated where I was. I hated everything about it, and I had the opportunity to either wait a couple days because my job was going to pay out a bonus, or just leave right then and there. And it was like, I can't stand another second in this atmosphere. I gotta go, and I gotta go now. And really, no amount of money is gonna keep me here another couple of days. You know, I gotta pack my things, jump in my car, head in the right direction, and Godspeed, right?
Right. Well, and then you like look back on it and you're like, well, did I make the right choice? And like, even for me with my scenario, like I genuinely am glad, because I don't know what would have happened had I stayed there.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. You know, you can actually feel like if you don't bite the bullet and do one thing, then something on the opposite end is going to be very bad or potentially bad if you stick around in that environment. So it was definitely one of the greatest moves I ever made. So yeah, when you have those moments, and you will have those moments where you got to bite the bullet, just hopefully things work out, because it's literally, I was leaving with what I had to put in my vehicle, and everything else, I was just leaving it behind. I was just done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. It's and I think both of those examples are like very good ones in the sense that it kind of expresses kind of the weight in the scenario. And I think all the examples we've kind of even discussed that aren't ours, but just figuratively, like scenarios that we discussed, I think are still very heavy weighted issues. So I don't think I think that this word will stay strong. And I know it's been around a while, and I think it'll stay around for quite a bit more time, because it's everybody goes through it at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you're telling that story to somebody, oh man, this happened. They, you know, it's, oh, you really bit that bullet, man.
Right.
I would not be weirded out if somebody said that to me. You know, like I would understand.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, what movie book did you hop out of from the 60s? Because I haven't heard that phrase in forever.
You see the younger generations going, what? What is he talking about? That's so weird.
That's so weird. People don't talk like that. You're so old.
Oh man, boy, they will say that. You know, yeah. Like your kids, they don't hold back. Dad, you're old. That's so old.
Nobody says that anymore.
Little boogers.
Back in my day. Back in my day. Well, back in my day. All right. So last up is to wear your heart on your sleeve. I think there's a lot of ways to kind of go about this, but I kind of want to go. Let's start with some of the origins. So it goes back as far as like medieval knights, talking. They would paint their ladies' colors on their clothing, so that people knew who they had the affection for. So it's kind of wearing that heart on the sleeve, like that, that's who their person, they represent it by putting colors on their suits. Then it became more about emotions and people who express a little too much, which I think is kind of where it's at today. I think it's in a more modern term, it's showing your emotions. Is literally what it is, and I think that there's weakness behind it, for an individual to wear their heart on their sleeve. Basically, it's letting everybody know, like, hey, you can pick on me, and I'm gonna take it. And I hate to say it that way, but it's kind of one of those things where like you cry wolf too much. I don't. I've lost the sympathy aspect for you, because you're overdoing it, or because I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. And one of the other kind of histories behind the term in Shakespeare, it was meant to represent like wearing your heart on your sleeves for the crows to peck at it. Now, I think that reference in today's society is like a perfect example, because there's a lot of crows out there, man, and they're vicious, and they will attack. And if you show them your weaknesses, which is kind of how I view the term, they're gonna take advantage of it.
Of course they are. That's what people do for some weird reason, especially today. Wear your heart on your sleeve. There's a lot of actual factual to what you said. I'm going to try to take it a different direction if I can. Let me say, wear your heart on your sleeve. To me, that's like, you use the word expression, and being expressive, as a form, to me, like a communication of what you feel, how you feel personally or emotionally, expressing, especially in a relationship, right? You wear your heart on your sleeve to let your significant other know, hey, I'm not afraid to admit how I feel about you. I'll tell the world, uh, I will express my feelings with you no matter where we are, and behind closed doors in the public. I'm just my heart. I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve for you, type of deal. Not exactly focusing on it as a weakness, but maybe to be vulnerable, in a way to where it becomes a strength in connection with another person.
Strengthen relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. But to your comments though, there are, would you say, crows?
Yes.
There's a lot of crows, and a lot of I'll say buzzards.
Right.
That are out there.
Let me repeat the phrase too. So in Shakespeare's, I believe the play was Othello. He refers to wearing your heart on your sleeve as physically having your heart on your sleeve for the crows to peck at. I think the imagery behind that kind of really, in that aspect, if you go down that road with how the phrase is, I think it's pretty intense.
It is, because it's a lot of heartless people out there, and then when they recognize that you have a heart, especially if you're wearing it on your sleeve, they're like, okay, I smell a victim approaching, right? So the vultures come,
right,
and then they just attack. What do you got?
And see, when we start talking about this at this point, I started thinking about like a today example of wearing your heart on your sleeve. Somebody comes up to you and they say, hey, I forgot my money, or I get paid tomorrow. Can you spare $5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, no problem. And then they come back the next day and they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, thank you so much. You're so kind. And then they go and they tell their friend, oh, I just borrowed the $5 from that person.
Yeah.
And they come over and they ask you, and you go, yeah, you give them the $5. Well, now you got this, your circle of crows is now growing,
Yep.
to take advantage of the situation.
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of a perfect example in today's society of crows.
Yeah. And we got a lot of crows at the gas stations and on the corners. And when they see you going into the store and coming out the store. Yeah. So it's a lot of that going on, man. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and just with the click of a button on your or a touch of the screen, you click the wrong ad. I mean, they will take you for everything you got, and they will not blink an eye doing it.
No, it's unfortunately where we've come in this world that we live in, which is a shame because there's a lot of great people out there. It's a lot of great things out there. But a lot of great people and a lot of great things are being taken advantage of.
Oh yeah,
by vultures, crows, and buzzards.
That's all birds.
And if you're wearing your heart on your sleeve, beware.
But you know what though? We can flip this around to your aspect, man. The way you talk about it, like in a romantic sense. I think there's strength in it, but there's also weaknesses in that aspect too, because some people don't want that. But I think if you have your heart on your sleeve at the beginning of the relationship, that's how you're going to weed out the people you don't want. And I think you can find the people that you can trust. Like, hey, no, this is who I am. This is what I need in a partner, and this is either going to work or it's not. But if it ain't working, it ain't working. Don't use that as a weakness, and 4 years down the road you wasted 4 years of your life because you were just being too kind.
Wow, man, that's great. I would even say that'd be a great point to end it. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's so many positives and negatives. I think that one thing I noticed in this episode is we did kind of tie in like the weight of the phrase now compared to back in the day. I like that. I think that maybe going forward we could do that as well. As we continue to grow these episodes, we'll kind of develop kind of things that we like and don't like. But I haven't seen anything I don't like yet. This shows, it's fun. It's fun. It's bringing back memories. I feel like we're just kind of discussing everyday scenarios and using different terms to express them or explain them. But yeah, consistently inconsistent, man. This is I haven't had a show that we've done yet where I'm like, no, I didn't care for this show. Let's just throw it in the trash.
I really like this show, and I actually look forward to you having a time for us to do a show because we don't schedule it. We just say, hey, you want to do this? We got time. Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. But I love the way it comes together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You come up with 3 things that I have no idea. And then I come up with 3 things you have no idea. And then we just kind of piece it together and it works. It works.
It does. I like it. When I pick the 3 words, I don't know how long it's going to be of a discussion. I'm like, this could be a 2-minute discussion and we're on to the next one, or it could be a 10-minute discussion. I'm like, I never would have expected to go down that route with that phrase. It's
right?
It's fun.
It is. And there's a lot of wisdom behind these sayings and quotes and stuff that we find that once we start talking about them, especially from a generation prior, if not 2 generations prior perspective, because of what was going on back then, I guess, versus what's going on now.
Right.
But it was a lot of thought, put into these sayings, even if they sound weird, we don't have skin on our teeth. but but that's what the saying is, right?
Right. And I wanted to talk one more thing before we wrap it up, and we can spend a few minutes on this. We have decided to do another show together, and we haven't really pieced it 100% together, but it was Evolution's idea. It was a great idea. We're talking about doing a recap episode, maybe 2 or 3 times a month, hopefully. To where we hit topics that we didn't really get to expand on. We try to hit an hour and a half, and I feel like there's episodes where there's more we wanted to talk about, or Evolution felt that way, which is why you brought it to my attention, and I 100% agree. And I think that gives you guys a great opportunity if you listen to us or you enjoy what we do, but there's something you watched on an episode 4 months back, whether it was the comedy one and somebody just said something stupid and you want to talk about it, or
Right.
if we did a serious, or we hit a serious topic, but maybe we didn't hit a certain aspect of it. Please feel free to reach out. You can find JG's Lounge on all the social media platforms, or hit us up on Facebook, either one of our accounts, and we'd be happy to talk to you about it and discuss it. Evolution, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, what really sparked the idea was I was having a conversation with one of our fans, and they were mentioning that, because of the time constraints of the show being 1 hour or less, in some cases an hour and a half, it was just still not enough time, especially when we're jumping from subject to subject. They want to get on and type a response and comment, but we blaze through the topic so fast that by the time they get to typing, we're on to another subject or something else. So I was like, so basically, if we could take some of those segments and outline them and put them out there to where, you can get that time to respond, and it's purposely set up for that, that we can dig a little deeper in those conversations and make something bigger and better out of it. So that's what I came to you on that. And I really like that idea.
I do too. I really do too. It kind of helps us, really reach out to the fans, or even just ourselves. If let's say we have 6 fan submissions and we had 2 or 3 topics we wanted to discuss, we'd kind of try to mix it all up to where we hit everybody. And I want to hit all the points, especially it's like one of those, I don't want to forget about it, let's talk about it kind of things.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, man. I think it's another great aspect to kind of tie in all the shows and everything that we do on JG's Lounge. So I thank you so much for bringing that. That was all Evolution's idea, so I give you 100% credit.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man. And look forward to your marathon of About That coming up. We got the Journey 2, which I should probably get to work on. I got the content. So there's me beating around the bush. Damn it.
Yeah, right. Ladies and gentlemen, I keep Jukebox busy. And he keeps me on my toes.
I do. It's kind of we definitely both have our strengths with this network. So
yeah. So we're having a lot of fun, man. A
lot of fun, man. Again, we started doing this, so I've been doing it for quite a few years now, and I think actually I just hit 5 years. Damn!
Wow! Congrats, man.
October 22nd. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, thank you. 5 years of podcasting. That's insane. Thank you guys. Thank you all for making me feel the way I do about what I do and let me know I do a good job at it. So thank you. Evolution jumped on board almost 2 years ago now.
No, actually, it's been 1 year.
It's been 1 year. Jeez, all the content we've knocked out, man.
I know we've been going crazy. October 21st was my first year, and then
this is a perfect example of how good he's doing. He's just grinding through, man. I thought he was here longer.
seems like 2 years worth of material.
Yeah, right. I guess I've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah, right. Hey, our episodes are just stacking up, man. We're having fun with this. We're having a good time, and appreciate everybody tuning in and supporting us. And heck, it can only get bigger, right?
Right. I mean, if it wasn't for you and Sean, man, and there's the other podcasters as well, but like I feel like we kind of have our little circle of trust between me, you, and Sean that is really strong. We all flow real well together when we do shows. You and I, it doesn't matter which mix up it is; it's always great content. But we all admire what we're doing so much, and we have so much like knowledge to put out there and conversations to have with you guys, and we know what this network can be, and we're going to keep pushing to make it that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, to everybody that's been tuning in tonight, we appreciate you. We're wrapping up another episode of Consistently Inconsistent right here on JD's Lounge with Evolution and me, Jukebox Ginger. Until next time, we'll see you guys around.
Take care.